was too much. Dagda, there's a lot of things you want to see from RNG, and there's a lot of things I know you do not want to see from RNG.
Yeah, no volley bear, please for away, and please no blind Ezreal, because we already saw what happens and Flakked pops the hell off in Kai'Sa. So I would like to not see either of those things happen, but I mean, when you saw T1 yesterday, right? They came in against RNG, just banned 4 junglers, were like, hey, look, what have you got left in the tank way? Always an opportunity, but it actually is going to be G2 banning away the Lucian. And I'm curious to see if we end up seeing things like the Ahri and these kind of things banned away, or if Caps is happy to go back towards the Zoe once more.
Big debate. I am curious, too, to follow up on what the Death said, what we see Xiaohu focus to. If it's 2 very more carry-focused style mid laners, if there's going to be a lot more playing towards side lanes, if we see things like the Galio. For now, though, very standard bans. Interesting to see the Graves hit the bench as well. A lot of the AP champions that have been powerful still up and available. LeBlanc and Ahri both still on the table. Rare thing to see. Kai'Sa. Interesting. Don't want... Okay, I mean, fair. To be fair, because Gala also very terrible. There are 2 very good Kai'Sa players in this game.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious that if they're trying to like bait this Ezreal pick a little bit as well, because now you got rid of the Kai'Sa, so makes things a little bit easier. But I feel like the Ahri is going to be the big one here for Xiaohu once more, and probably we'll see Caps fall back towards the Zoe. But Ahri's just such a strong pick regardless. You just probably got to see it here. Yeah.
She was incredibly powerful across just about every region's playoffs.
Yeah.
She was not hit, to the surprise of a few people on the patches coming into the tournament, so she remains the premier option. Does have some small weaknesses, but generally just feels like a safe all-around, like the perfect mid lane blind pick in most circumstances.
So yeah, now I'm curious to see what the plan is going forward here. Like, we've oftentimes seen kind of a mid-answer prioritized here. You could go towards the AD carry with Ezra still up and available. Maybe Flakked wants to go towards something a little bit different for himself in that bottom lane as well. But yeah, just going to go towards the Ezreal. And I feel like coming through in RNG, we'll probably see something like a Tristan or something along these lines coming through for Gala to try and still have that big team fight carry, but at least give you something that can push in the bot lane and have decent control.
And Gala and Ming are obviously very, very explosive players on the bottom side of the map. Not that Flakked and Targamas are not, but we have seen some of that aggression on the bottom side turn against them. Despite G2's incredible record, there still have been some sloppier moments from the G2's bottom lane. We'll see if that's something that RNG can look to expose. For now, though, keeping it pretty safe in terms of pick spans. Could opt for a mid laner there. Jungle always feels like a pretty safe, blind, pickable role.
I also like just taking the Viego away. It's by far and away Way's best champion. So the fact you're taking that across the board means that I had to avoid it. I couldn't say taking that away.
Far and away his best champion. You're
like,
taking it
you
away.
Know what? I've landed too many already in here. But Way will go back towards the Lee Sin. And again, we kind of saw it in the last game, right? Lee Sin has a good matchup against the Viego, especially if you can get in towards these like early 1v1s and small skirmishes. But we'll have to see if both Wei and Xiaohu can kind of make that link up in the mid lane, because it feels like that's your best way of trying to push this game forward.
Certainly. It feels like one of the strongest jungle mid duos that you can draft currently. Obviously still time to go for the LeBlanc if that is something that Cavs feels like playing, but instead opting to go for the Gwen. Looks like they're really saving the later portions of their draft to make sure that bot lane can get a solid matchup, and Gwen feels, again, similar to Ahri, like one of the best blind pickable champions for solo lanes in the current meta.
So I actually like this as well from RNG, because you're going, right, you can either get the counter pick for Caps, which is what we get from LeBlanc, or you can go towards the Vladimir, which Broken Blade has been taking as that answer into the Gwen. So now you ban away the issue with the Vladimir, you ban away another top laner as well, maybe something like the Camille from Broken Blade as well, and suddenly you've set up at least one of your solo laners in a decent spot.
Yeah. Of course, we'll have to see what the last pick is going to be for G2. Certainly, you would assume at this point that it would be the support. Not a whole lot more information can be garnered about the top side of the map. But again, both sides just looking to sculpt their individual matchups. We expect RNG to take away the premier top lane options. The Vladimir, which has seemed not as an all-around counter pick to the Gwen, but we've seen success with that champion on the top side. For now, though, Karma limited, which is, fair. Range support's not normally what I associate with the boys in any region that isn't LCK, but, hey, got to take some of the good ones off the board.
I mean, I'd be looking to respect the Pyke realistically from Targamas, right? Like, he's been looking so good on that as well, if you can kind of take that away, because Ezreal champion that it's pretty all right to just sit there and is lonesome by the bot side. And if you open up a game with a Pyke, a LeBlanc, that's a ton of assassination potential, especially in these early stages.
Definitely. And if you snowball at all, it becomes so impossible to play the game against a Fed Pyke, a Fed LeBlanc. If you break tier 1 with either of those champions, it just feels like there is literally no room for Wei to exist. So it can be a very threatening proposition. Tristana, though, taken away. That's the champ you highlighted earlier. This is, of course, the cost of locking in the Gwen. This does mean giving up that premier AD carry option. And while Born, yes, can lose out on side lane to Gwen, still respecting that Broken Blade has been incredibly confident on that pick, and G2 are very good at playing around it.
Yeah, I think they're just worried more so about the team fight than the actual laning, right? Making sure that you can actually maybe go towards something like a Scion here still for Broken Blade, but at least it's not as big of a threat with a long range output.
Dagda, that Riven is locked. That's not a meme hover. Are we getting the Broken Blades? Broken Blade? This man is named after this champion.
All right, whatever about the rest of the draft. This is hype. I am so ready. This is why I love watching Broken Blade. Like, every time I see this guy, I'm like, he has some funky stuff in the back pocket that he's willing to bring to the main stage, and now we're getting the Riven lock in. Oh, this is beautiful.
I have so much anxiety about this pick, but mostly I am incredibly excited. That said, has opted for the top lane pick. It does mean an immediate response on the upside for RNG. Do expect to see this Rakan locked in. Xayah Rakan bottom lane, conventional, powerful, good engage, good roams from the Rakan too. Not as vulnerable to the dive threat of champions like Viego, like LeBlanc, like a Riven as well. So see what the final option is here. I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore, Dagda. What's a meme hover over? What's not?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh.
This is the dark technology.
Okay.
Oh
boy.
Oh.
All right. So we've got Broken Blade with the Yuumi that wants to just go and pop off on the Riven. You've got like at least a good matchup in the mid lane, but it feels like a huge amount of this is, you know, trying to get Targamas out of that bot lane, trying to link up with Jankos, link up with Broken Blade, even with Caps as well. Like, you have 3 champions that do so damn good with this Yuumi. So on the opposite side, it feels like when you're looking towards RNG, trying to see if you can play towards the team fight, see if you can try and set up some early plays with this Ahri and Lee Sin to maybe get control of the map is your best bet, because I'm not going to lie, I haven't exactly prepped the Riven versus Gwen matchup.
I'm furiously
not sure.
Googling. I just probe it. No, I'm going to shameless shout out to like LOL VVV right now, because I just Googled what the hell Riven does. I forgot how she builds. It's the same as it usually is, Gore Drinker, etc., Conqueror. We'll see what Broken Blade's particular flavor of Riven looks like as we get into game, but Dagda, it's going to be hard to talk about any lane that is not top lane. There is a world where G2 get ahead in this early game, and Targamas is suddenly strapped to the back of any one of these 3 champions on the top side of the map, and the game gets very hard for RNG. There is a world where G2 fall behind, and everything falls apart so quickly. Ahri snowballs incredibly well. Xayah gets ahead, depending on what build she wants to go through. Lethality, obviously nerf, but even crit Xayah is so incredibly powerful in the patch.
Yeah, I feel like especially for this game, like trying to get Ming out of that bot side for RNG, actually have him influence the map as well, because certainly you expect Targamas to be linking up with the Viego in the early stages, trying to make sure Jankos has a good time, but as you say, like if you fall behind for G2, it's done and dusted, so you need to come off the bat swinging here, and it's not like you don't have the tools to do so.
I'm just getting flashbacks. He went longsword 3 pots. My brain from like, it's like, is Red Pot back in the game? Okay, here we go. Riven versus Gwen top lane. It's going to be thrilling. We are going to look at it at some point, but for now, level 1, safe setup, and look at this. Adaptation from Bin. Like to see it. Not going for the Ignite, instead going for the Exhaust. Obviously, Broken Blade. Ulti on Riven. Very telegraphed, all-in skill. Means it's very nice to have that Exhaust.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is going to be a case of like Broken Blade, at least kind of theorizing, right, is going to have like the shield to get in off his E, he's got 2 good stuns, he's got good knockups, and you can take these quick trades against Bin and kind of make sure that you're able to find the advantages in that lane, especially if Bin ends up trying to like dodge away with the snip. You can then quickly walk out and make sure that you're able to be all right. So I'm excited for this. Again, like Broken Blade brought out the Vladimir as a counter, now he's bringing out the Riven. It just feels like G2 have such depth of champions.
Definitely. But of course, the question is, anytime you see a new pick like this, is will it work? Because that ultimately defines how much more we will see a pick like Riven into Gwen this tournament. Riven, obviously already a pretty niche pick. You need to put a lot of hours in this champion to play her well. You cannot just plug and play this champion. Has been a pocket pick for many years at Broken Blade. Caps taking a bit of damage back. He got a positive early trade earlier as Targamas was able to land a Q uncontested. Here trying to extend the trade to make sure he still wins out on top. Well played.
Yeah, nicely done. Ming actually walking back down towards the bot side, so not actually going to be able to help out. So nice trade for Caps. I don't think they'll have full information as to where Wei is starting. He is on the top side here, but I mean, I think you can kind of put 2 and 2 together for G2, where your bot lane has already shown up, and Xiao, who was playing so aggressive in denying vision there, you can probably figure it out.
Now, Lee Sin's still on top. I wonder if he goes for a cheeky early gank. Broken Blade obviously just going to try to maximize value off the passive. Conqueror easy to proc on this champion. That said, looks pretty even for now. We'll see who gets level 2 first. Obviously, 3 pots for Broken Blade means he can trade a lot more aggressively, as he will have more effective health over the course of the lane, but less effective health in the all-in.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is going to be trying to like balance the shield from Broken Blade and making sure that Bin, as you can see, like the second he doesn't have any of those snip damage stacked up, that's when you're able to go in as Broken Blade and get these good trades. So I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth here and trying to deny Bin access to wave, and thus far Broken Blade doing a pretty good job.
Yanko's now moving in just to really track way to make sure that he can't have any early impact here. Covering Caps, he looks to push in this lane. Obviously a bit difficult with Cannon Minion Wave. But just fighting for every little bit of vision, fighting for every Raptor, fighting for every camp. This Broken Blade gets level 3 first and feels like starting to win out there just in terms of individual XP. Jankos will get the Raptor camp. Does, of course, mean that Wei just moves down to the red buff and should take that one as well. Can't imagine that Jankos is going to fully commit to try to contest 2 and doesn't have the information to know if he even can go for the buff. Is Broken Blade getting a little frisky there? That's not the tower shot that you wanted to take. Third Q comes through. Ben going in. Broken Blade barely able to walk away from that one, but now Targamas is in trouble. That's one dead cat. That's first blood on the bottom side. Ming, yes, he's burning, but he's so far away. He's under absolutely no threat. Blackhead has to be careful. So Feathers are already set up. A huge start for RNG.
Yeah, I was about to say G2 doing a nice job. You know, Yanko's playing off of wave state in mid to get to invade, get a little bit of an advantage for himself, and suddenly the wheels start to come off the cart in both top and that bot lane. But Broken Blade will actually be able to get himself out scot-free and will get back in towards the lane without losing too much CS. The big winner here is going to be the RNG bot lane.
Absolutely. And we talked about this before. Now, normally, when G2 had gone down before, it was maybe getting a little over-aggressive, Targamas maybe over-engaging, or Flacket not being able to walk away as the Kalista. But in this context, yes, they are the weaker bot lane and the all-ins early, but definitely hurts to start down a kill in this lane. Ezreal is going to be a safe pick, but if it means that Ming is now freed up to roam around the map, that's going to be a big problem for G2 to deal with.
Yeah, I think as well, like, at least when you're looking at Gala, the only person you really have to be worried about is Caps having threat onto that backline, right? Because you will have the Featherstorm to keep yourself safe. Broken Blade, because he opted in towards the Knight, isn't going to have those, like, flash 3 Qs into this massive stun. Like, we're not really going to see a huge amount of that. So if RNG can actually get Gala into a good spot, that is a bit of a worry for G2.
Certainly is. A lot of champions who can dive in, and Gala obviously a lot of protection for himself. Targamas caught out here. Yuumi nerfed so many times. One of those nerfs, obviously, that you can't just immediately reattach when she's been CC'd at all. Stops Targamas from getting out of that one scot-free. And while Ming was close to going down, good positioning means he does not cost him a thing. That said, all summoners except for Flackett's flash down on the bottom side alongside Gala's. And so far, pretty quiet from the junglers. They're battling each other for CS, for crabs, but not really showing their faces in the lanes yet.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Jankos is trying to use the fact that Caps has that pressure in the mid lane from that early level 1 trade to get some control in the enemy jungle, but at the moment, just with the lane states the way they're going, it's not quite in his favor because you've got top the lost out bot as well. So I want to see what Jankos can now do because it feels like off this big wave, Caps has the opportunity to look for roams, and I already see Jankos on the bot side. It feels like trying to correct some of the mistakes that happened for the G2 bot lane.
G2 potentially just looking to secure this uncontested. They have pressure in mid as well as bot. Should be a pretty easy dragon to pick up. Of course, Infernal early on, not huge value, but with no Herald on the table, they don't really have to trade anything for it. Just a product of some of the lane push and wave states that they've been able to build for themselves. So small advantage to the side of G2. Gold lead still very much in the favor of RNG on the back of that first blood.
Yeah, and even just as you say, like the CS lead is opened up on the bot side as well, so they're doing a pretty nice job here for the RNG bot lane, and this is kind of where you get a little bit nervous, right? Because when we talk about the standout players for RNG, it has been Gala, and I mean, when he's got this lead now, that's where we're going to be seeing if he can actually try and carry these through in the team fights. But I mean, again, I think you've got opportunities here as Caps. I mean, we're talking about standout players. Caps can look for roams, can look for these plays and try and shut down bot lane when given the opportunity.
Certainly, and with both mid laners now at level 6, time starts to be now. Of course, Caps for now. Push under his tower. Xiaohu just using his little roam timer to move down and secure some of the honey fruit, make sure that he can sustain up in lane. Is for Gala and Ming, pretty easy to crash these waves. Xayah obviously very naturally good at pushing these lanes, and Flacket for now has to play on the back foot. That might change once he hits level 6, but they're pretty far behind when it comes to XP. Level 4 for both of them. Ming and Gala level 5 as Wei moves in. We could see a dive. Exhaust almost up for Targamas. That would be a big one. Flash up for Flacket as well. Targamas has to be very careful not to detach at the wrong time. It could cost him his life.
Yeah, it looks like Wei might have snuck his way around all the wards that G2 have on this bot side as well, so I don't know if they actually know Wei is here. Should be very close to level 6 as well, which is why I'm assuming he's going to start up this blue camp, take it away, but also hit that level 6 and be a bit more of a threat on the dive.
Question mark ping's coming out. Acknowledging that Ming has gone on the roam. They're not entirely sure where he is. They might spot him on the control ward, but As highlighted, Wei does take away the blue, doesn't quite give him level 6. Jankos waiting in the darkness, has vision advantage. I think might just go for the crab here, no real reason to take a full-on fight. Can just lock him up, but Flackett's now coming up too. Wei potentially caught out. Instantly, they're just going to burst down the Lee Sin. It's clean. That was a ton of damage coming out from G2. Now Caps poking Xiaohu out as well. Big tempo play for G2. Get a kill, get some prio in the mid lane as well.
Very nice job from Jankos as well, because you saw Wei thought he was safe. He saw Caps leaning up towards the top side. He's like, there's no way there's G2 down in this bot lane, so I'll take the crab. But Flacket roams up alongside Jankos, and it's a quick kill. So nicely done by G2 to get one back in their own pockets.
Certainly. Does cost them 2 plates on the bottom side. Important to note, Gala and Ming obviously had enough of a push there that it does cost Flacket and Targamas a decent amount of gold to make that play happen, but slows Wei down a little bit. Further puts Jankos ahead in terms of gold as he has the 54 CS to 46. Now on top of the assist, and Flacket and Targamas slowly getting closer to level 6, but have to be careful about stepping too far forward in this lane.
And I think this is the sword that we've kind of seen between RNG and G2, right? G2's mid-jungle has been so incredibly strong. I mean, the strongest that we've seen in the tournament thus far, where you have Jankos consistently working with Caps, the communication is great, whereas it hasn't been so hot for RNG. Wei obviously going down there, not having Xiaohu for support because of the matchup, it's really been hurting RNG, and especially Xiaohu, when we think Xiaohu has kind of been the puppet master of the early game of RNG.
Certainly. Now we get to see the impact, though, between a level 5 Yuumi and a level 5 Rakan. I have to feel like that's going to favor the Rakan as G2 move into the darkness here. More members of RNG in the area as well. G2 can maybe go for a steal on this one. There's still a decent amount of health. The eye's going to open one more time. Should be a quick burst down. G2 playing with caution. RNG good, recognizing that they can just take that Herald uncontested.
Yeah, had first rotation coming through from the bot side, so able to move Ming and Gala into a position, and already Flacket had gone for the reset of his own, so not like you're going to be losing out on too much pressure or even having a response from G2 on that, so nicely done. And I expect RNG to try and move this down to the bot side, right? You've already got 2 of those plates gone. You want Gala to be your main damage source in these fights, so giving him more of that gold just seems like top trumps.
Absolutely. Ming is also ticked over to level 6. Targamas still sitting at level 5, wants to move into this lane, wants to be able to get that ult so he can at least disengage if RNG do decide to put their attention here on the bottom side. For now, though, Gal and Ming just going to have to catch this wave. Cannon backing them up, though. They could look for a full push here. And I'm sweating. I see Wei on the bottom side. I see a level 5 Yuumi who is very non-threatening. Good news for G2, she does have Exhaust and Ignite and has now ticked over to level 6. But RNG, if they want to play towards bottom side, it should be an easy tower. That said, Jankos seems to be ready for it as he is playing down towards that Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, I feel like the slow game, though, doesn't really, like, at least team-wise, stylistically, favor either squad, right? Like, G2, even though they're the top dogs at the moment, aren't actually the ones that have the biggest gold lead in the pre-14-minute mark. They're only sitting about 2k. You look at RNG, about 3.5. You got T1 that are 4k, like, but G2 come alive in the mid-game, and with already a dragon there, 30 seconds until the next one, you'd love to see G2 try and get started stacking these dragons up, but Xiaohu has push in mid. Wei also has this Rift Herald as well, so at least for G2, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to contest the second dragon.
Caps pulling back. Not going to get out by Wei showing his face at the mid lane. And I think it is a solid point. I think that you can argue on the side of RNG that there's maybe a bit more engaged with the Lee Sin and the Rakan, but obviously Yuumi, again, strapped to the back of a LeBlanc or a Riven, turns either of those champions into functionally a raid boss when it comes to damage output and survivability.
Yeah, I mean, that's the terrifying part about Yuumi being attached to anyone with Xiaohu.
Caps, kick back into the wall, get caught out and taken down. Way clean over the wall. Caps not sure what he was doing on that one. Have to take a look at the replay, but ultimately gets hit by the CC. Easy follow-up from RNG, and he's going to get knocked down. Has a CS lead in lane, but does not stop him from getting picked off. Yeah,
just trying to poke out Xiaohu as he came back into lane, and now RNG get the pick in mid. They get to hold on to that Rift Herald that we were talking about, and they should get the Dragon. So you don't actually have to try and brute force your mid priority with the Rift Herald, and you can see Wei more than likely going to move down to this bot side with Gala pushing the wave to get a tower off the back of that play as well.
Such a good play from RNG. That pick is coming at such an important time. Moves down, gets a kill, gets a Dragon. Now he's going to get a tower on the back of this Herald, assuming he does opt to use it here. Will do so. RNG went from about dead even gold. They're going to have about a 1k gold lead now on the back of this first tower, and there's really not a counterplay. Broken Blade gets a little bit of isolated time. Jankos has to catch a witted a lane and mid lane. But overall, RNG pulling pretty far ahead with that one, 1.5k lead.
Yeah, and about 900 of that is on Gala as well, as you can see in the bottom of your screen. This guy actually 1,000 now on Gala, so huge amount, as you said, on the RNG bot laner. And Jankos trying to see if he can make the play towards Caps.
Xiaohu, no ulti available, does have the flash. Caps, of course, no TP. Flash ignite on this long, so a bit more kill pressure. Yanko's fully committed to this one, flashing in, not giving Xiaohu any time to react. A little bit slow on the trigger there. The ignite already ticking down, but Lee Sin with the safeguard means it's only going to be the 1-for-1 in the end.
It was so close to being so nice, but that charm just stops any sort of follow-up coming through fast enough. And we're way over the wall. They're able to turn that one around, but Caps now, we'll have to see as he pushes this one in. You can already see movement here from Ming towards top side. I think Caps needs to go and cover this.
Yuumi on the way in. Looking to mount up here. Broken Blade. Level 10. Has to be careful. Ming on the way in. Needs to dash his way out of this one, but he's already got the charm prepped and ready. Broken Blade just running away. There's nothing for him to do on this one. Can try to get tricky. Alco Gaming not going to be enough. Gala grabbing another kill.
And that's the downside of not having flash, not being able to dodge away from Ming, and ends up just running back in towards Gala's waiting hands, and unfortunately just recalling at the wrong spot at the wrong time, and now it's another kill going to the AD carry of RNG.
And the map play from RNG has just been flawless. Yes, there have been some individual moments where Xiaohu got caught off guard by the flash W from the Viego in the mid lane, but across the board it just feels like RNG are consistently making the more advantageous plays. That said, Caps tries to make a bit of a difference here in the mid lane, gets the ult out.
But such a different feel from the last time we saw these two teams face off, right? We looked at the early kills. Oh, wait a
Caps
second!
fishing for the all-in. That man knows his damage. He has to use the clone to body block the Q. Nope, gonna connect. Wei gonna grab the kill. Caps taken down 1-for-1 in the end.
I mean, Wei just seems to always be in this mid lane, but that was so nice from Caps. Burning the ultimate from Xiaohu earlier, knowing that he'd be able to get the damage off and manage to pick up the kill, so at least you're getting something back for G2. But I was about to say, like, this feels like a very different game, right? Caps had to end up getting those 2 early kills because he turned around the RNG aggression in the bot lane the last time these two teams faced off. Now, though, you're not getting RNG going for these aggressive plays, going kind of taking a step back and going, right, let's see if we can just match them toe for toe in the mid game. Let's use the map play that won us MSI last year and see if G2 can keep pace.
And so far, Caps in the mid lane, yeah, he gets a 1-for-1, but still a 2k gold lead for RNG. They're tied in Drakes. They have a tower advantage. You can start to look to break another one on the map for now. 80 carries matched on the top side. Targum is still strapped to the back of Flacket, and that's one of the big things here. It just feels like it's so hard for Targumus to have an impact in this game as the Yuumi. We know the value of the Yuumi. We know her theoretical ceiling, but difficult champion to get those roams off on, and Xiaohu forced away, and Caps feeling very confident. Waits, I think, for the last dash to expire and just full commits.
I mean, even getting the blind distortion over the wall as well, just kind of timing Xiaohu coming back. Super nice from Caps, and is a bit unfortunate. Stops for the chains. But it was unfortunately betrayed by his own chain.
There it is.
Yeah.
Lines it up. And credit to Wei. 2 1-1. Making his presence known on the map, stopping Caps from taking over this mid lane. Again, Caps still individually decent CS advantage, but compared to what we see on the bottom side of the map, all the gold is being funneled into Gala. Whew! Thank you, team. 7K.
Oh my god.
That is a terrifying, terrifying champion. Gale Force on top of that means she's going to be hard to lock down, and Ulti on top of that. This is one difficult champion to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the difference between Gala and Xiaohu. Gala already well on his way to a second item. Xiaohu still trying to get his shop together so he can at least get his first mythic complete. But as we start to go forward, you can Gala getting that Rift Herald taken for Wei on the top side, as G2 considered a play onto RNG's bot lane, but going to back away.
Yeah, a bit of a calm map state at this particular point in time. 55 seconds and counting down until the next Drake on this Cloud Rift. And finally, Xiaohu will complete an item. And all I gotta say is, like, we get lost a little bit in itemization in terms of the fantasy stereotypes. Why does every magic item have to build from books? Isn't there, like, can't you lift, like, magic weights? That's my question. Like, surely there has to be something magical that is, like, could be physical prowess or, like, not just reading. Why is every mage just really good at reading?
I mean, every time I've, like, looked into, like, you know, if you read, like, a fantasy novel, it's all about, you know, I studied for, like, 15 decades, and then I learned how to, like, light a candle, and you're just like, well, you know, you got to do a lot of reading, it feels like, as a wizard, but I don't know what else you could really bring to the table. I feel like if you're going to, like, start your journey into magic, it has to start off with, like, oh, yeah, this is how I, like, read a couple of books before you just get lobbed in with, like, a magic grenade or some kind.
Yep. Caps has read a lot of books, though, and will not only make it out with his books intact, but his life intact now as RNG. Complete control over the Cloud Drake here. Ulti goes across, but really no recourse here for G2 at this point. Can maybe fish for a few picks. Again, Targumus strapped to the back of Caps, a terrifying prospect. Single piece of CC connects, though, and things are going to get pretty hard. Caps now leaping out to safety. Targumus using the ulti, but with that cooldown down, it might be a little bit difficult. Ming locked up for a brief moment. Bin, the entire team now looking to collapse. Moving into this funnel could be difficult. Caps still stepping forward, still fishing for a little bit more. Gala coming down. The entire team grouped up. Cap's just trying to find any sole member to pick off. He's isolated Bin. He sees Bin picked out, but Bin has the exhaust as well as the miss, so we'll just walk away.
Yeah, and I mean, look, G2 at least got some vision control established on this bot side as they were running through, but it does mean RNG get pushing. Mid could actually look to group up potentially with Ari on the top side of the map, as G2 will funnel resources into Broken Blade, making sure that he can get this bot tower.
Ooh, Mid going for it. But again, the exhaust is so important here. So many summoner spells being traded back and forth. Caps still standing, outplaying, outmaneuvering, but no, the mist making it work. Targum is now going to be in trouble. Broken Blade on the way down. Bin still standing, but mid lane tower is already down. G2 overcommitting on the play means the second charge is now going to come through. Wei waiting over the wall too. No minion wave means they cannot clear the second for RNG, but no, Ming caught sleeping just for a brief moment. Did not expect G2 to be waiting there for him.
Yeah, now G2 might actually be able to get a little bit more pressure as RNG are sticking around in this mid lane to get the tier 2, but going to call off the play on the bot side and see if maybe they can cut off RNG's escape as Broken Blade making his way through. But, I mean, again, G2, yes, you're getting the picks, but RNG, they're playing the map better.
Certainly. And we've seen G2 across a number of games in this tournament find single explosive team fights to shift the gold in their favor. But so far, RNG really have not been letting any of those opportunities slip through. We saw one solo kill in the mid lane for Caps where he got the edge of Xiaohu. We saw that play on the bottom side for Broken Blade. Those feel like really the only two instances where they've maybe caught RNG unaware or unprepared.
And again, you're kind of looking like, okay, G2, well, because we're falling behind, where does that big explosive play come from, right? Because we talked about the flashless Riven, not going to be able to do that. Yanko's not really going to be the one that sets it off. It feels like it has to come from Caps, has to come from Targamas, and your key damage dealers like, are the key people that you want to take out of the fight are people like Bin, right, who's running this exhaust. People like Gala, who's got the Featherstorm as well to keep himself safe. And even Xiao, who can kind of hop his way out of that.
Yeah. And obviously well played individually by Caps to kind of outmaneuver there. Bin whiffing on the snip just because Caps is moving so quickly. The clone debated out too. Caps playing very much on the edge, but ultimately Ming there in time with the shield. Miss coming up just in time. Slight miscalculation. Ming will ultimately fall here as Broken Blade was ready and waiting in the darkness. But as cool as that play looks, Caps now in trouble, gonna get zoned away. Ming, there's no way Caps gets out of this. And the rest of G2, they don't even have any recourse. They can maybe push in mid, but RNG, that costs them nothing.
Yeah, Caps caught completely with his pants down. You look at where the wave is, and it's like, okay, well, I'm back underneath my tier 2, going to be totally fine, but the RNG vision control in this top side is absolutely insane. Look at all the wards that are littered there. They knew exactly where G2 were moving and knew they could make the pick. Now, Flakkid going to see if he can try and get some damage on mid, but Wei will be there to answer.
Again, just masterclass in map moving from RNG. They've been getting so much, and it's cost them so little. League of Legends, when you're on even footing, feels like a game of trades left and right, back and forth. But G2 aren't trading in a lot of these circumstances, and are certainly not trading well, as you can see the gold lead continue to grow for the side of RNG.
And this feels like the RNG that we got last year, right? This is what they won MSI with, where they were playing for smart map movements. Now, it was Xiaohu in the top lane playing things like the Lucian that brought it to fruition, but you're still seeing that when the chips are down, RNG can kind of fall back to this style. It's not just the team-fighting behemoths that we started to see coming out of the LPL towards the end of playoffs.
Yeah. And again, Gala getting stronger and stronger, almost 10k to about 7k for Flakkid. A terrifying prospect to be dealt with, especially as we start to look ahead towards the big major objectives. Yes, no one is on Soul Point yet, but the 4th Drake of the game, 3rd potentially for RNG if they can take it. The Cloud will spawn, Baron now up as well, so G2 have to be careful because the cost of mistakes as we get later in the game just continues to go up. Xiaohu now flashing in, but he whiffs the charm. Definitely not ideal. Flakkid now leaping out to safety. Q has connected, but they will not follow up. RNG taking control of the mid lane. Caps now knowing he has a lot more opportunity to leap in. We'll just look for a little bit of poke. Bin off to the side. Miss now goes down, but can they follow up? Can they punish on that missing cooldown? For now, the answer is no. Flakkid just clearing out mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, with 40 seconds left, though, RNG are just going to look for the quick reset before that dragon comes up. G2 should be able to get decent vision control established, though, and that makes Gala a little bit of a sitting target.
Well poked. I mean, if they burn Gala down, there is not a gold lead on the side of RNG. That's what's important to remember. 3k advantage for Gala. All of that gold will disappear if they can pop it before a fight kicks off.
It's also just having control of River, right? Like, look at the amount of control wards G2 have. You walk in here as RNG, like, you got Caps pops over a wall, you got Targamas that can do a bunch of damage, Broken Blade gets access to the back line. Like, this is terrifying. You see Caps using it so well here.
Certainly. That's all coming across as well, but again, it's always costing them something. They are going to get priority access to the Drake. They're going to get their 2nd Drake of the game, no question. Hard for RNG to contest this one, but you've got 2 members on the top side of the map. Bin and Xiaohu pushing in. Broken Blade going to respond on the bot side with a tier 2 of his own. So for now, could be an even trade. But he's going to be forced away. It's going to stop them from taking the tier 2. G2 look at the Drake in exchange. Ming and Gala seem ready for a fight. Yankos and Flakkid potentially in trouble here. Wei on the way as well. TP coming. This is going to be bad if G2 can't make it out of this one. Flacket, fancy feet, already using the flash. Way kicks him right into the wall. Knows the follow-up is there. Takes him out. Caps. Targamas strapped to his back. Ready to respond, but RNG already out clean.
I mean, it's a quick pick, yeah, but look where the wave is, right? Xiaohu had to push it all the way in, so they're not going to get a tower. They're not going to get much else, whereas G2 at least did get the dragon. It was in favor of the tier 2 and top, but at least G2 are still managing to get some of these objectives where maybe they can force fights, maybe they can find ways back into this game. But for RNG, again, just picking off G2 around the map.
It's so difficult, too, because the pressure just continues to raise on Caps. Because if you look over at Way's itemization, this man now has a death stance, 2, 1, and 3. You got 380 champions on the side of G2. It's hard for them to kill this Lee Sin. Caps is really the only one who can do it, but if Caps burns his cooldowns on a Lee Sin, that's a 3-item Gala that will not die. A 3-item Gala with Cleanse and an ulti, and it's only going to get harder for G2 when it comes to execution because Gala has all the tools to protect himself before we take into account the entire rest of his team.
And now RNG trying to establish vision control for the Baron. Way stealing away the red buff just to add salt to the wound as G2 going to start to back away. But again, like, you got Broken Blade on bot side, and you don't want to TP in his Broken Blade here just because RNG are getting vision control, but it makes it so much harder for G2 to find that moment with Caps, to find the damage onto Gala, and RNG going to start up the Baron and see if they can get that TP from Broken Blade.
Yanko's laying down a bit of vision, but it's not a control ward. RNG going to ignore it for now. TP coming out. RNG happy with this one, though.
That's all they wanted.
They're a fans of chess. They don't need to play the bloodbath game. They're backing off. They got the TP. It's classic League of Legends. Just get the small advantage. Go back for mid control. They're waiting in the darkness to set up a pick. G2, if they get overconfident here, are going to get burned down. Caps dashing out to safety. Yanko's unstoppable, but he doesn't make it over the wall. It's a disaster. Gala now on a rampage. RNG with enemy jungler down have priority access to the Baron, but instead, they might look for a little bit more blood. Broken Blade dashing out to safety. Mid control reestablished. RNG back on the objective.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure G2 couldn't take the mid wave as they went for this, but Caps hovering over the wall here. And RNG just a nice pick onto Yankos. And G2, what have you got?
11k. Getting lower. There's no spellbook. There are no miracle smites. They have to go for the fight. Ulti coming out early from Gala. Gives them a lot of space to working with. Eyes on Broken Blade. Eyes on the ribbon. Leaping into the pit. Baron getting lower and lower. Who's going to take it away? Lee Sin gets it. It's so low. It's almost disaster, but they managed to make it work. Bin going golden. Xiaohu, Ming off to the backside. Ming burning down. Flacket getting cut down by Gala. Broken Blade, the last man standing. Yuumi strapped to his back, but maybe, just maybe, it's possible. We know the power of a bruiser with a Yuumi on top. Broken Blade, how clean can you be? Backing away instead, giving up this Baron feels so bad though. Maybe, just maybe he pushes for more, but instead shifting his attention towards the top side of the map. Massive play for RNG.
Oh, nearly a big mistake from RNG as well. 17 HP on that Baron, but they managed to get it and managed to get away in G2. They were so close. I love the amount of poke that they have here, right? Like, they're doing the right thing. Let Flacket take free shots into the pit. Caps is getting some good damage as well. Like, Xiaohu, you can see so close to going down. But as the damage starts to rain in, the Baron is going lower and lower. Bin steps forward, buys space for RNG to finish this off. But look at the health, 17 HP! And that was so close to Broken Blade stealing that.
Sometimes it's a game of inches, sometimes it's a game of millimeters in that case. But ultimately the auto comes through just in time, and credit to RNG. They saw Broken Blade, they knew he wanted to go into the pit. The second he cues over that wall, Lee Sin kicked out, exhaust goes down on him. Still, RNG, when they go back in the tapes, they're going to say, why did we let that Baron get to 17 HP? But ultimately, a Baron is a Baron. They have secured it. G2 shut out here. 6k gold lead, playing against the Baron of RNG. It's a tough, tough game for G2. Maybe they can fish for picks, but RNG have not been giving them anything. Oh, Gala off to the side, though. Isolated. Gala is his ulti back up. Caps now trying to retreat back to the middle of the team. Everyone pulling back now. Caps has been locked up. Caps has been isolated, but another distortion comes up just in time to stop the follow-up. Yanko's body blocking the Q, going unstoppable over the wall. RNG pushing forward, and here comes Bin on the backside. The Gwen maybe to finish off the LeBlanc. Caps dashing away. Ming dashing in. Flacket trying to retreat. All of G2 just running for their lives. The needlework coming out. Xiaohu finding the kill onto Flacket. G2 picked apart in their own jungle as RNG will look to push down the mid lane.
And with the battle for first there, RNG know that they can take that top spot as they chase down Caps. Gala is feeling himself.
Gala stepping in. Caps can't distortion away. Gala now godlike. Broken Blade. Last hope. Him and Yankos. What can they do? RNG pushing in for the win. 5-1 record staring them down. T1 waiting hungrily for G2 at 4-2, looking for a bit of revenge, looking to put themselves up in the days to come. Broken Blade into the midst of the team. It's a 5-man stun. It's big, but it's not going to be enough. They have too much CC. The leads in the immediate kick out. Broken Blade, he wants to do something. He wants to take down Gala, but he cannot finish the job. Targamet's the last man standing, but he has no hope as RNG tear G2 apart, systematically dismantled. G2 cannot find any advantage in this game as RNG push in and end it in their favor.
8-0 for Gala at the end of that game. We talked about how he could be someone that could take over these fights, step up, and we see it once more. Gala reigning supreme in that AD carry matchup.
And fantastic again from RNG. Felt so clean, felt so controlled. Caps, you can see so many instances where it felt like maybe this is his moment to shine. Maybe this is his fight to shine. Towards those last few fights, you might have seen the same for Broken Blade, but never did he get that opportunity. 1-1v1 in the mid lane, one other pick. Other than that, nothing there for him. And
it's heartbreaking because realistically, Caps was the better mid laner in this matchup, right? Like we saw him pushing Xiaohu out of the lane. He was trying to get control, but unfortunately, Wei literally just babysat mid. Was like, look, as long as we keep Caps in a cage, there's no way that G2 are going to be able to take over this game. And you can see there, Yanko's unable to give him help. Caps not really able to find those advantages. Then RNG could just take over the rest of the map and just avoid the mid lane completely.
Certainly. And it felt like G2's composition never really got to come online. Felt like RNG did not give them a chance to do anything with the Yuumi, anything pairing until they were already so far behind that it just did not matter. Give the